Channel Y. Channel Y. A South Asian Canadian channel.
Hi, this is Priyanka Chopra and you are watching Channel Y.
The biggest South Asian media group, Y Media. Y Media. Y Media has newspaper, midweek, radio, South Asian Pulse.
Hi, I'm Amitabh Bachchan and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
Hi, this is Amir Khan and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
Television. You are watching Channel Y. Channel Y.
Prime Minister, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be back.
Online, SouthAsianDaily.com. The biggest South Asian media group, Y Media.
Hello and welcome to Y Media's exclusive report. This is on the January 6th hearing committee that's taking place right now in the United States. It started yesterday and it will air all throughout until July in its prime time to get as many viewers to remember what happened on Capitol Hill on January 6th with the riots that took place. Well, essentially, we have the coverage of what was heard on day one and what is to be expected throughout the next couple of months. And as the committee has gathered 140,000 documents and 1,000 interviews, well, Ivanka Trump, who is Donald Trump's child, who's supposed to be his favorite child, who served as the senior advisor to the president in his time at the White House, and Jared Kushner, her husband, who also served as a senior advisor to the president of the United States during that time. Well, we have their testimony today, and it's quite shocking what they say and what the president's response is. Donald Trump has taken to his social media and has responded to the first of many deposition hearings that took place as it was aired in prime time. Now, I want to take you back to what this means. Well, essentially, it was the 2020 presidential election that took place in the United States. It was the 59th election where Joe Biden, who was the vice president under Barack Obama, became president of the United States with his running mate, Kamala Harris, who became vice president. And they beat the incumbent Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence. And it was one of the largest voter turnouts in the backdrop of a COVID-19 pandemic and potential recession and high inflation rates. Well, Americans went out and they voted, and Donald Trump cast a doubt on the results of that election. Just to let you know, in terms of the election results, it's the first time since 1992 that a president, an incumbent, was not reelected for a second term. That's the fifth in the past 100 years where this has happened, and essentially due to the highest voter turnout, where President Joe Biden received 81 million votes, more than 81 million, and President Trump received more than 74 million votes. If you gather those numbers, well, it was way more than Barack Obama's 69.5 million votes in 2008. And this is because of that election. Well, Donald Trump said that there was fraud in the electoral system and voting. And during the day of January 6th, where Joe Biden was supposed to be certified by Congress as the next president of the United States, well, hours later after the storm that happened on Capitol Hill, where loyalists to Donald Trump went to Capitol Hill, and there you can see images and videos and footage, which is now going to be in the January 6th hearing. It's going to be revealed more than the violent stuff that occurred that most people don't know about. And there you have the images of what took place on Capitol Hill on January 6th, where the democracy of the United States was being challenged. As based on democracy, you accept the rule when an election takes place and you concede to the winner as they are certified as the next prime minister or the next president, and that's how democracies work. Essentially, when it comes to a dictatorship, there's no democracy. And what happened on January 6th? Well, it's a reminder that in just a few minutes on that same day, on January 6th, that everything could have changed for the history of the United States. Now, the recollection of the events that happened on January 6th, well, at noon, Donald Trump began an 1-hour speech. It was over an hour speech encouraging protesters to march to the U.S. Capitol at 12:49 p.m. Capitol Police responded to reports of an explosive device later identified as a pipe bomb. 19 minutes later, before Trump ended his speech, rioters overran the perimeter of the Capitol building. At 2:44 p.m. local time, Capitol Police officer inside the Speaker lobby shot and fatally wounded one of the rioters, and Governor of Virginia activated an available asset to the state of Virginia, which includes the Virginia National Guard aid to the U.S. Capitol. This has never been done, and it was not authorized by the Department of Defense. But by 3:15 p.m., the asset from Virginia began going into D.C. By 4:17 p.m., a video of Donald Trump was uploaded to Twitter in which he instructed, "You have to go home now." 15 minutes later, Secretary Miller authorized the D.C. National Guard to actually deploy. And to date, 810 people have been arrested from the riots on January 6th. And nearly 60 people have now been sentenced to incarceration. Investigators are also seeking public help to identify over 350 rioters, including 250 suspected of attacking police officers. And in the hearings, we will hear from police officers who were attacked violently. Now, I want to take you to a video by Representative Liz Cheney, and this is on the former Attorney General Bill Barr's deposition on what he believed the results of the election were, and followed that will be Ivanka Trump's deposition. Take a look.
The Trump campaign's general counsel, Matt Morgan, gave similar testimony. He explained that all of the fraud allegations and the campaign's other election arguments taken together and viewed in the best possible light for President Trump could still not change the outcome of the election. President Trump's Attorney General Bill Barr also told Donald Trump his election claims were wrong.
Repeatedly told the president in no uncertain terms that I did not see evidence of fraud, and that would have affected the outcome of the election. And frankly, a year and a half later, I haven't seen anything to change my mind on that.
Attorney General Barr also told President Trump that his allegations about Dominion voting machines were groundless.
I saw absolutely zero basis for the allegations, but they were made in such a sensational way that they obviously were influencing a lot of people, members of the public, that there was this systemic corruption in the system and that their votes didn't count and that these machines controlled by somebody else were actually determining it, which was complete nonsense. And it was being laid out there. And I told them that it was crazy stuff and they were wasting their time on that. And it was doing a grave disservice to the country.
But President Trump persisted, repeating the false Dominion allegations in public at least a dozen more times, even after his Attorney General told him they were, quote, complete nonsense. And after Barr's resignation on December 23rd, the acting Attorney General who replaced him, Jeff Rosen, and the acting deputy, Richard Donahue, told President Trump over and over again that the evidence did not support allegations he was making in public. Many of President Trump's White House staff also recognized that the evidence did not support the claims President Trump was making. This is the president's daughter commenting on Bill Barr's statement that the department found no fraud sufficient to overturn the election.
How did that affect your perspective about the election when Attorney General Barr made that statement?
It affected my perspective. I respect Attorney General Barr. So I accepted what he was saying.
That's Ivanka Trump. She was the senior advisor in the White House to Donald Trump, her father, and the first daughter. The two have had a very close relationship all her life, and she's been considered his favorite child. Essentially, in that clip, in her testimony, she says that she's backing up Attorney General Bill Barr's statement that the election was not rigged, and the assertions made by then President Donald Trump were not valid. She says, "I respect Attorney General Barr, so I accepted what he was saying." And this comes after that clip is from in April. Ivanka Trump gave an 8-hour testimony to the House committee investigating the attacks on the Capitol. And this is where Donald Trump supporters had attempted to stop the certification of the election that took place hours after the riots. And in that, essentially, she's very forthcoming of what she believed happened. And Jared Kushner, her husband, who also was the senior advisor to Donald Trump during his time in the White House, here's his statement of his deposition.
Are you aware of instances where Pat Cipollone threatened to resign?
I kind of, like I said, my interest at that time was on trying to get as many pardons done. And I know that, he was always, him and the team were always saying, oh, we're going to resign. We're not going to be here if this happens, if that happens. So I kind of took it up to just be whining, to be honest with you.
According to the testimony in their deposition, Ivanka Trump reportedly told her father, she went to the White House a few times to the Oval Office that day of January 6th, and was asking her father to tell his supporters to leave the Capitol. And there's a book that's coming out on how Ivanka and her husband, the way they during the time that they served her father during his time in the White House, and essentially what took place on that day. It's also said that in that book that's going to be revealed that this is when Jared Kushner turned around to his wife and said, we're moving to Miami, and this is according to the book called The Divider, the Trumps in the White House, and this is during the duration of his time in 2017 to 2021. Then he says to her that, he looks over at her and says that the election is not believed to be stolen, and they're going to make plans and separate themselves from essentially Donald Trump and what took place that day and what it means for his legacy as these hearings will continue. And after yesterday's hearing, Donald Trump took to Truth Social, which is Social Truth, which is his own platform, social media platform, since he was banned from Twitter. And Trump throws Ivanka, his daughter, under the bus after she told the committee that she didn't believe the 2020 election was stolen. And so here are his statements on the social media website. Essentially, here are what he wrote. He goes, Ivanka Trump was not involved in looking at or studying election results. She had long since checked out and was, in my opinion, only trying to be respectful to Bill Barr and his position as Attorney General. And then in brackets, he wrote, he sucked. He continues to say, Bill Barr was a weak and frightened Attorney General who has always been played and threatened by the Democrats and was scared stiff of being impeached. How do you not get impeached? Do nothing or say nothing, especially about the obviously rigged and stolen election, or to put it another way, the crime of the century. Democrats hit pay dirt with Barr. He was stupid, ridiculously said what was not a problem with the election, and they left him alone. It worked for him, but not for our country. And that's what he took to the social media to put that out there, according to what he saw there. Now, Truth Social is something that he's come out with. It launched February 21st of this year, 2022, and it's came out as a way for him to have a platform, which he was banned on Facebook as well as Twitter after the Capitol riots that took place, and where he was deemed to incite violence on that day. And since then, well, there's been a few problems when it comes to Truth Social, where it's the scalability in terms of the number of subscribers isn't as big as what he'd expected. And so far, it's only available on Apple App Store, and now they've launched to be able to have a web app access, and now you're not able to join until the next date that it opens up. But so far, this is where things sit when it comes to the president and his legacy on the Capitol riots. I'm Ramona Singh. This is a Y Media exclusive report. As the proceedings continue with the hearings, we'll bring you more of the details on the result of what happened on January 6th Capitol riots.
You are watching Channel Y. Channel Y, a South Asian Canadian channel.
Hi, this is Priyanka Chopra and you are watching Channel Y.
The biggest South Asian media group, Y Media. Y Media.